January 6th committee's days are numbered. I'm going to keep saying this because it's quite important. The clock is ticking and time is running out for members to submit their final report and potential criminal referrals, all before Republicans retake the House in January. My political panel is joining me now. Reese Colbert is a political commentator and founder of Black Women Views Media. Ashley Pratt Oates is a former Republican and NBC Think contributor. And Alexi McCammon is a political reporter for Axios and an MSNBC contributor. Welcome to my Lady Avengers. I'm happy to have you all with me today to break this thing down. So we have been talking about this, and we just cannot repeat it enough. A criminal referral from Congress will not necessarily sway the Justice Department, okay? But the committee's work still matters. Here is January 6th committee member, Republican Congressman Adam Kinzinger, and he's talking about the significance of these potential referrals. Listen to this, ladies.
I don't think criminal referrals are pointless. I think the point on that is that it's very clear that DOJ has decided to take this effort up. I do think it will be an important symbolic thing that the committee can do, or even more than symbolic, just very clear that Congress thinks, you know, a crime's been committed here or the DOJ should investigate it.
So, Reese, I think that the committee has very clearly established that the violence of the insurrection, right, the threat to democracy that it all posed, and even the former president's role. But do you think that the final report or even potential criminal referrals will make a difference to the public?
Well, absolutely. I think that the January 6th committee has moved the needle quite a bit. If we look at what happened in the midterms, the election deniers went down in flames. And so I think what they've done is establish the fact that there was an insurrection, it was against the country, and that President Biden and Kamala Harris were duly elected. So if nothing else, that part is mission accomplished. But we still have the special counsel that Merrick Garland appointed, and that's really what's going to be the ultimate deciding factor to see how much additional liability people see from the January 6th committee action.
You know, I think this is an important point, and I think some people would say, oh, why so much about the January 6th committee? Well, because the threat to our democracy is ongoing. And Ashley, with that understanding, it's just really, I'm not shocked, but disappointed maybe, that a number of Republican lawmakers have endorsed an investigation of the January 6th investigation when they retake the House. Do you think they're going to get enough Republicans on board to make this happen? And just what are your thoughts on the whole ordeal?
Well, I think it's ridiculous. To your point, Simone, they're investigating an investigation, and they're doing it to placate the Trump base, the very people who stormed the Capitol. So, I mean, when you think about this, it's just crazy, and it adds on to the empty platform that the GOP has, and the fact that they don't have a platform still going into the 2024, presidential cycle is just all the more evidence that they're full of empty promises. And they're just the party of Donald Trump, which is exactly why they're going to push for investigations and impeachments rather than try to legislate and actually move the needle forward in maybe a bipartisan way, like I believe Democrats have over the last 2 years when they've been trying to work through gridlock and restore protections to our democracy. So it is just fascinating to me that this is what Republicans want to focus on when they finally have a majority in the House, but it's not surprising.
Well, Republicans are going to have this majority, and one of the many men that wants to be Speaker of the House, Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy, he's going to have to get this fractured caucus united behind him. Alexi, what is his biggest obstacle at this moment? Because I do not think he has the votes.
Yeah, and even Republican lawmakers and aides privately tell Axios that they're unsure if Congressman McCarthy has the votes to be Speaker. One of the biggest obstacles, as you alluded to, because of this slim majority, is sort of the outsized power that the far-right coalition of Republicans in the House will now have. People like Marjorie Taylor Greene, who is on his side for now, but is already making demands to be put on committees and given leadership positions by him. Other far-right folks, Congressman Matt Gaetz, of course, has vocally been in opposition to McCarthy, said he will never vote for him to be Speaker. And so it's those kind of louder, really conservative members from the House Freedom Caucus and other places who are really standing in his way, saying that they want to change in leadership, but they want to change in leadership because they want the party to still be the party of Donald Trump and to carry those types of politics and governing styles forward.
Reese, do you think the general public out there, not the political professionals like us who are doing this every day, do you think that folks understand what is currently happening inside the House of Representatives in this race to Republicans taking control in just a couple of weeks?
Of course not. I mean, the general public just thinks that Congress is not functional at all. And the ratings for Congress is in the tank, and that's for Democratic and Republican congressional members. And so all they are going to continue to see is more dysfunction. And the reality is that when it comes to being Speaker of the House when you're a Republican, Republicans always give them hell. I don't think that Boehner and Ryan would look very sympathetically as to what Kevin McCarthy is going through. But this is the party of Trump, and there's always going to be a little bit of chaos, a little bit of theater, and a whole lot of dysfunction.
Well, we will be watching. Separate from the House of Representatives, y'all just heard me talking to John Allen about RNC Chair Ronna McDaniel. Now, there are some Republicans that would like to see her go away and take some of the blame for the red wave that never was. But Ashley, she does seem to have the votes to get reelected. What do you think about all of this, having spent time inside the Republican Party apparatus? And what do you think could happen if a more extreme challenger gets in the race and prevails?
Well, I think the thing is, it being a former Republican, I never know what's going to happen because it's always dramatic, it's always theatrics, and that's because Donald Trump has been at the helm of the party. And let's not forget that she was installed by the support of Donald Trump. So while there's this whole side network saying that she can be somehow, not aligned with Trump moving forward in the 2024 presidential primary, I don't really see how that happens, especially since there was a new CNBC poll released that says that only 37% of Republican voters don't want Trump to run. So navigating that line moving forward is going to be very difficult for whoever sits in that position. And she has shown, I think, time and time again, that she's not willing to condemn Donald Trump. She's willing to condemn things that he may say, but not him personally, which I think puts her in a very tough spot as she moves forward with, again, a majority of Trump supporters who would want her to not take a stance against him.
I would note she's not unlike many Republicans in the House of Representatives or across the country. Alexi, can you weigh in on something I was reading about this week, that when Republicans retake the House, that they could vote to rescind the COVID emergency declaration, and only 2 Democratic votes in the Senate could send it to the president's desk? And this could all result in the first veto of President Biden's presidency. I am struck by this because this emergency status, has been the basis for relief people have come to really rely on, as well as the student debt relief plan. Quickly, what are the effects of ending this?
Yeah, as you mentioned, I think access to healthcare is one of the biggest things. Things like telehealth, getting free COVID-19 tests and vaccinations, and having access to those things on different types of insurance plans. All of those things will be up in the air or completely removed for some people if Republicans move forward to rescind this national emergency declaration, which has far-reaching implications beyond those that I just mentioned.
We will be watching. Very interesting. It ain't over. Reese Colbert, Ashley Pratt Oates, and Alexi McCammon. Thank you to my Lady Avengers.